Chicago Red Stars hosting Orlando Pride. This was another one of those matches, Lisa, that we had sort of circled on our previews and sort of saying there's a couple of games, there's a lot of games taking place all kind of at the same time on one day. If there's a few games that you have to check out, here's a couple that we're going to be keeping a heavy eye on. And we said that it was going to be these next two games that we're going to get into. So Chicago Red Stars versus Orlando Pride. Chicago walking away with the win in this one, a narrow win, 1-0 over Orlando Pride. There weren't
Sandra,
a lot of goals in this one, Lisa.
You had that in our picks. You picked Chicago. I picked Orlando. I'm just going to come out and say it. All right. Continue with your analysis.
That. You know, there is absolutely zero hateration up on this podcast when we go through our picks. Look at you, just giving me that dub right off the bat. But there weren't a lot of goals in this one, Lisa, but there might have been a lot of drama when it comes to the discourse around some of the officiating in this one. But Chicago making things happen pretty early in this one, and that's putting it kindly. We started to see, we talked a little bit about this in our preview, Lisa, that we were just both sort of kind of felt that, you know, maybe this isn't really going to come down to the midfield for either of these teams going into a match like this, that maybe we're going to have to see some type of play coming from the attacking lines, whether it was, you know, this continuing evolving chemistry with Watt and Pugh on one side, and then the return of Alex Morgan to form and Cindy LaRue for Orlando Pride. But Chicago making a statement pretty early, and these waves of attack coming very early end up paying off, with Kealia Watt winning a corner kick, and then that piece played in, and then she ends up getting a goal off of this one in the 6 minutes, sneaks one and a kind of a cheeky angle really past Ashton Harris, and they have the early lead in this game, and it sort of kind of continues that way a little bit back and forth for these two sides in this first half in particular, and it got a little physical at times, Lisa. There was some hearty booing taking place on a Wednesday night in Bridgeview. I was covering this game locally and in person, so sort of taking in the sights and the sounds of this was, again, a little bit delightful. I was like, wow, there's just something about fans in a stadium and taking all this in. But there were a number of times where the officiating was hearing it in this match. There was a particular moment that happened in the 31st minute, and then there was, of course, a penalty that was eventually awarded to Orlando in the 43rd minute for that ended up going their way, and Alex Morgan tried to step up and take this penalty, but missed wide. So, you know, we were talking about a very
the fact that you said Alex Morgan tried to take this penalty kick was just worded so perfectly.
Well, listen. Alex Morgan, she's having herself a couple of weeks here. The entire league has been going through it. The players in this league, the fact that they are getting up and going out and playing games of soccer while everything has been happening is a real testament to how they are built as human beings. Quite frankly, we continue to see the player demonstrations taking place throughout all of these matches. They look similar, but they're taking place a little bit differently now. They're taking place at kickoff versus in the 6th minute. So the coming together, standing in solidarity in a full circle at the center circle of the pitch is happening at kickoff versus the 6th minute now. And, you know, there's a lot of emotions that are taking place. And for somebody like Alex Morgan, who was heavily involved in the recent reporting to help sort of be this supportive person in the story of Sinead Farley and the story of Manashim, that's big. So I say that because you also have somebody like Marta on Orlando Pride. So if you're if there are things that are like that you think might impact, you know, your ability to kind of perform in like a high pressure or like high tense situation, why wouldn't you, maybe have those conversations and say, this is going to be our person taking the penalty kicks, going forward. So I imagine that those type of conversations already happen prior to your match day. So, if Alex Morgan was coming out of trainings and saying, hey, if we get a penalty kick, I'm taking it, and the team was good with it, hey, that's what they ended up rolling with.
And there's also moments between whistle, penalty kick called, and actual lining up over the ball where she could turn to her teammates and say, I want to take this. I can take this. I can do that. Those are moments where if you think as a player, you're having a great match, you're in your rhythm, you're striking the ball really cleanly, especially as a forward, or if you already have a goal or two in the match, which not Alex Morgan's case, but you can turn to your teammates and say, I want this one. And your teammates usually have your back, especially if you say it with enough confidence and conviction. I wasn't privy to any of those conversations. I don't know what happened, but I probably would have given it to Marta. I'm just saying.
You got to wonder. I mean, she steps up to take this penalty kick, and the crowd it's a home crowd for Chicago, and they're not making it easy. There was a lot of swarming of boos and things like that, trying to make it hard for the player to do. So it goes wide, and it still ends up being the lead for Chicago. And this happens right before halftime. So you wonder if this is a real opportunity for this Orlando Pride team to sort of level things out and maybe kind of hit the reset button for the second half to perhaps go a different way. And it just doesn't. But let's narrow in a little bit on some of this first half controversy when it comes to the lack of calls or the questioning of calls moving forward. Lisa, I was there at this game. So me being the local reporter, I was designated the pool reporter for this match. And for people who don't know, the pool reporter is the...
Are you saying pull, P-U-L-L?
No, P-O-O-L. So swimming.
There we go.
So as the pool reporter, it's
the Chicago accent. We just got to clarify.
Thanks, buddy. So pro referee allows, I think it's 3 questions in reference to the game. So calls, or if reporters or media would like extended information or any more insight to perhaps certain moments of the games, for calls that were made, not made, whatever, they open themselves up to being asked those questions. So when you are at a game, if you are a member of the local media, privileged enough to actually go and cover in NWSL games, there's typically a designated pool reporter in these moments. So for this match, it was myself. And so I submitted a couple questions to pro referee just to see if there was any extra elaboration or anything that they would like to give for some of the calls. So one of the questions was, what did the officials see during the 31st minute between Kealia Watt and Amy Turner as the 2 players went down in the penalty area? And the second question was, what was the reason for the penalty in the 43rd minute, and what was the reason for the yellow issued to Watt? And so the following answers that I was given was, number 1, in the 31st minute, I saw shoulder-to-shoulder contact and no offense. And the second answer is the penalty in the 43rd minute was for tripping, and the caution that was issued to number 2 was for dissent. So that's not too surprising. When the yellow was issued to Watt in that moment, the penalty is issued, and it comes off of some contact of some bumping that's taking place between Sydney Leroux and Casey Kruger. And the first player over there to contest this penalty is Kealia Watt. So you see the jawing kind of happening, and the yellow that's issued. Further yellows are extended. Chicago's bench players actually received a yellow Chicago in this match. It was like, wow, it's like this game has everything, it's got a goal, it's got a banger in the early minutes, it's got yellows, and it's got officiating controversies. There's a penalty kick that was awarded, one that wasn't. So it was like truly something to witness on this day. And this was all just in the 45 minutes, but that turns out that's all that Chicago needed. They had a lot. That's ultimately what this game was, Lisa. There was a lot of great movement, a lot of strong attack from Chicago. they left a lot of chances on the table, and they ended up having to rely on some really organized defensive moments to just sort of close this thing out. And Cassie Miller had to come up huge for the Chicago Red Stars team in net for them down the stretch. And she did, and things just ended up kind of working out that way, in which Chicago took this win. And there's one game remaining between these two teams in the next couple weeks.
Yes, this match was a good one. A little questionable calls. I'm going to say I want to throw my thoughts out there. The first one between Watt and Riley, I believe it was, in the box, that did not get called. The first one you questioned in the 31st minute. Shoulder to shoulder, they're both going for the ball, but Riley gets her leg around Watt and kind of takes her out as last defender.
Turner? Yeah.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Amy Turner. Yes. Amy Turner. And gets her leg around Watt and she takes her out. I think that was a missed call. She does get a touch of the ball, but she takes out Watt. And then at the other end with Casey Kruger and Sydney Leroux, yes, it's a foul. It's a little soft. There's not much of a shove there. And if we gave a lot of credit to Jessica Silva for diving in the KC game, or not diving, but recognizing that she's going to get fouled and making it exaggerated, you got to give the credit to Sydney Leroux in this situation, because it's really similar. There's contact. You're in the box. If you get a little bit off balance, lean into that as a forward and you may get the call, or you may not get the call in Watt's turn. But interesting, I want to say one thing for the people in the back, for the people that keep forgetting, Watt is really fast. She doesn't look fast. And then she starts running and she surprises me so pleasantly every single time. I'm like, yes, girl, you're so fast. She gets around Ali Krieger a number of times, like push to the one side, run around the other. But this match was pretty good. A really good win for Chicago. It's tied 1-1 right now. They face off again October 29th. A lot of questionable calls, but that's a big mistake for Alex Morgan and for Orlando to miss that penalty kick. I think that would have changed the game heading into the half completely.
Yeah, for sure. I think it would have been a different 45 for both of these teams if they were walking into the locker room all leveled up on that type of stuff. But quite an entertaining match for sure.